Many service dealers use a simple water hose flush or a closed-loop flush machine when performing a cooling system flush. Depending on the severity of the contamination, these procedures may not remove enough contaminants in neglected cooling systems to prevent water pump damage. To avoid costly customer comebacks, we recommend using a PowerClean flush tool every time a water pump is replaced or the system has been opened for other repairs. Success in selling this new tool comes from a technician's realization that a high number of vehicles that enter their shop probably have contaminated coolant, that a more complete flush is needed when replacing a water pump, that it is a profitable new service for the shop, that a more complete flush increases consumer confidence in the shop, and it reduces customer comebacks. Here is a proven system for providing the needed information to your customer. To help you make the presentation, these flyers are available from Napa Belts and Hose. The purpose is to show your customer what happens to the system because of coolant contamination and what you can do about it. Start the discussion by showing the water pump contamination on this flyer to your customer and stress these points. Cooling system contamination can happen in many ways, including mixing of coolant types, use of tap water rather than distilled water, metal electrolysis, and other problems that clog the radiator or heater core. When topping off the coolant, it only takes a small amount of the wrong type of coolant to contaminate the whole system. But did the customer use the same coolant when he topped off? What about the last service technician that topped off the system? What coolant did he use? Really, we can only guess that the system is not contaminated. For that reason, most universal coolants state that for best results, it is preferred to flush the system and replace with universal coolant, not just top it off. This flyer shows the damage to water pumps and other metals in the system by mixing coolant types. If the coolant was cross-contaminated, the inhibitor package may no longer protect metals in the cooling system and can lead to rust, metal cavitation problems, and early water pump failure. With standard tools, you can test for pH balance and coolant concentration, but you cannot test for the rust inhibitors to see if they are still protecting the metal correctly in an automotive application. It normally takes a couple of weeks for the inhibitors to recoat new metal components for protection. If the inhibitor package is compromised, rust can quickly lead to water pump failure and a comeback for the shop. Here's another point to stress. Clean coolant lubricates water pump seals as the rotating front half spins against the stationary back half of the seal. Suspended solids and contaminated coolant, however, are forced into the seal, scarring the surfaces and creating a leak that can damage the bearings. Another common source of coolant contamination is partial replacement during component repairs. Any coolant left in the engine block or heater core when the radiator is drained can contaminate the whole system after the repair is completed. When the engine is started, the new coolant mixes with the contaminated coolant and diminishes the good properties. There may be minimal metal protection. With so many opportunities for contamination, the tech needs to identify the internal cooling system condition prior to installing a new water pump and then use these flyers to discuss the observations with their customer. Show the correlation between premature water pump failure and the cooling system contamination by mentioning this statistic. Studies by water pump manufacturers confirm that 95% of water pump warranty claims submitted by service dealers indicate that no flush was completed before installing a new water pump. The Power Flush tool is flexible because of the adapters that are supplied with it. While the regulator operates at 75 psi, the nozzle output is only pulsating at 28 psi. This eliminates any possible damage to the internal fins of the heater core and radiator. The tool creates a low pulsating kinetic wave effect that lifts contamination off the bottom, out of the passages, and into the main flow for removal. The adapters are designed to make it easy to isolate the heater core, radiator, and engine block and clean them separately, which is the recommended procedure. A video is available which demonstrates tool effectiveness, setup, and proper use. As a technician, you understand the link between cooling system contamination and premature water pump failure. By power flushing the radiator, heater core, and engine block separately, you will protect the life of the new water pump and reduce customer comebacks. Donnie Cipher, a shop owner and industry consultant, purchased the flush tool in early 2012. He now recommends power flushing the cooling system whenever the system requires draining. Here are some questions you may want answered. I thought universal coolants were safe and can be mixed with everything. Most universal coolants state on the label that it's best to flush the system and replace with a universal coolant, not top off with it. Why is it recommended not to perform a partial coolant replacement? There is no test for automotive coolant to determine if the coolant is cross-contaminated or if the inhibitor package is still protecting the metal internally. You can look to make sure the coolant color and clarity are good. You can test for pH and coolant balance, but past that point, you're guessing. Any coolant left in the engine block or heater core after the radiator is drained can cross-contaminate the whole system after the repair is completed. When the engine is started, the new coolant mixes with the contaminated coolant and diminishes its good properties, minimizing metal protection. How can suspended contaminants ruin a water pump seal? Clean coolant lubricates water pump seals as the rotating front half spins against the stationary back half of the seal. Suspended solids in contaminated coolant, however, are forced into the seal, scarring the surfaces and creating a leak that can damage the bearings. What is the operating pressure of the tool, and will it damage the heater core? The tool operates at a maximum discharge pressure of 28 psi and will not damage the heater core or radiator, provided they are in good condition. What is the difference between a closed-loop flush machine versus a PowerClean flush tool? The PowerClean flush tool cleans by kinetic wave action using a standard shop water hose. The tool's maximum water pressure is 28 psi. It does not use costly chemicals that can void some import car warranties, and it can isolate the radiator, heater core, and engine block independently, which is the only way to effectively clean embedded contaminants which lie at the bottom of these components. A closed-loop flush machine can remove contaminants circulating in the coolant, but cannot isolate the radiator, heater core, or engine block to remove embedded contaminants that can damage water pumps. Plus, a closed-loop flush machine is expensive and uses costly chemicals that can void some import warranties. How long does it take to flush the system? Most shop owners who use the PowerClean flush tool say an hour is generally sufficient for positive results, but this may not be true in every case. What are other shops charging for the service? Most shops charge 1 hour of labor time. Do I need to isolate each part of the system or flush each component separately? Yes. You should isolate each part of the system for maximum efficiency. The needed adapters are included to do this. Is this tool automatic? The tool is a manual process, which is the only way to isolate the cooling system components. Why do I need this tool? The sand-like sediment in contaminated systems cannot be effectively removed by closed-loop flushing, but can be removed by the PowerClean flush tool. With the tool, a shop has the option of cleaning a blocked heater core on older vehicles instead of replacing the component, which can turn a 10-hour replacement job into a 1-hour cleaning job. In addition, there are other components in automotive and non-automotive applications in which the PowerClean flush tool can be a very effective cleaning tool.